Hello everyone, I am back again on the Agege Bread podcast. My name is Emeka. As you know, we've aired the first episode of the series, The Ones Who Ran. It's a series where we talk to the people who ran in the Edmonton City Council elections, but who did not make the cut. We don't like to say that they lost. We're doing this series because we want to learn from them. We want to hear their stories. We want to know everything that they went through. Essentially, we're giving them a platform to tell that story. Today, we are talking to Diana Steele, the passionate Métis leader and lifelong Edmontonian whose community spirit powered a bold run forward Nakota Isga. I always murder these names, but okay, I'll get it right one day. Diana has a master's degree in servant leadership. She's built a career as a small business owner, Northwest College instructor, Alberta government policy advisor, and currently she's in her 7th year as the president of the Crestwood Community League. She ran for mayor in 2021 on the Back to Basics platform. That was her campaign platform. And then recently she ran independently as a candidate tackling houses, taxes, transparency. Diana earned 11% of the vote, amplifying everyday voices in the tight race won by Reed Clark. Though the ballots have spoken, her vision for fair, united neighborhoods endures. Join us as she reflects on the journey and what's next. Diana Steele, everyone. Good morning, Diana.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm good, thank you.
Nice. I know I tried to, do a good job of writing out your profile, but I always like to have people tell who they are. So if you don't mind, we can start off by you telling the audience who Diana Steele is.
Of course. I'm born and raised, as you said, in Edmonton. I have 2 boys, so I'm a mom raising 2 boys in our city. I have an education degree and a master's degree in leadership. I worked for Northwest College for almost 10 years teaching business courses. And then I went to the government of Alberta where I learned to work on policy. And then I moved over to Pilgrim's Hospice Society where I worked as a volunteer coordinator for them. I ran for mayor in 2021, and after that, I decided to get my real estate license and became a realtor. And I've been doing that for the past almost 4 years, coming up to 4 years. I work for the Immigration and Refugee Board. I do contract work for them, and some other side gigs as well, just to stay busy. I like staying busy. And as you mentioned, ran in 2025 for City Council.
Impressive. I tried to do a good job with your bio, but I missed a couple things.
That's okay.
But, wow, you are busy.
I am, yes.
And you ran for mayor in 2021?
Correct.
Did you think Edmonton was ready for a female mayor? What inspired you to do that?
Yeah, in terms of ready for a female mayor, I hope so. In this day and age, I would hope so.
Yeah.
I ran because I knew, it's kind of a long story, but I'll sort of make it short. So I had a relationship with Andrew Knack, the current mayor of Edmonton. I worked on 2 of his campaigns, was a huge supporter of Andrew. And when the 2021 election was approaching, I was encouraging him to run for mayor at that time. And he was going to run, and then I was going to run for council and fill his seat. That was ideally the perfect scenario. And shortly before the election started to kick off, Andrew called me and said he wasn't going to run anymore. And he had information that I didn't know, but I'll get to that in a minute. So he said, I'm not running. And I said, well, someone has to run against Mike Nicol, because at the time, Mike Nicol was quite an aggressive conservative, let's call him that. He had a lot of really great ideas, but he was just very aggressive in his approach to implementing them in the city, and I wasn't a fan of them at the time. So I said, well, if you're not going to run against Mike, then I have to run. Someone has to, so I'll do it, which is why I stepped forward to run for mayor. But of course, what I didn't know is that Amarjeet Sohi and Michael Oshry and Kim Crushell and Cheryl Watson and some of the biggest names in Edmonton politics were coming forward to put their names on the ballot. And so that is why I ran originally. And
Noble. Before we get into the meat of this matter, when I did my read up on you, one thing stood out, that you ran as an independent. I don't quite remember if I've seen that with the other candidates, so it leads me to want to ask you about the role of political parties in city council elections. What's your opinion on that?
So AI led you astray on that one. So for 2021 there were no parties, but in 2025 they did create parties. We could now be part of a party and run municipally. But originally I was running as an independent. Until towards the end of July, I was an independent. But what ended up happening is I'm grassroots. I don't spend a lot of money on campaigns. I don't believe in buying your seat for $80,000. I'm very much against that. So I spent $2,500 on my campaign. But Reed Clark entered the race, and when he entered the race, I could see a lot of money was going towards him, a lot of support was going towards him, and I knew that there were only two ways I would be able to get exposure: buying it or joining a party and having a larger platform provided for me through the party. So I had been contacted by PACE towards the end of June, and I originally told them no, that I wouldn't join their party. And again, once I realized what was actually happening in the area, I contacted them again and said, I've actually given it some thought. Would you mind if I joined you? And then I did end up joining PACE. So, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So would you have preferred an election that didn't have partisan politics?
I don't mind parties because truthfully right now, and we know this, we already have party politics at the municipal level. It's just a shadow party. They won't say it out loud. It's very quiet and in the background, but we do have a party. The councillors they all band together. They vote a certain way the majority of the time, except for the odd councillor who stands up and says, no, I'm not supporting that. But they are all sort of told in which direction to row the boat. So now with the provincial government saying party politics can be involved at the municipal level, you're just giving people an opportunity to say, okay, I know which way you lean politically then, which some people will prefer and some people don't want parties at the municipal level. I'm one of those people. I think we should be nonpartisan. There should be no party politics on the municipal level. I don't want left versus right. I don't like that.
It's a lot of division. The chips will fall where they may, because instead of just having things happen under the table, it's best to put it out there in the open and let it happen so everyone sees it. If it's good, we see it. If it's bad, we see it. Okay. You made an interesting comment right now when you said, I didn't want to buy my seat for $80,000. Could you expand on that, please?
Yeah, so I've been a community volunteer in Edmonton for over 30 years. Since I was a kid, I've been a passionate volunteer. And I was the president of Crestwood Community League for 7 years. Very dedicated to my community for almost 20, my Crestwood community where I lived and raised my boys. And so I found myself thinking, if I spend $80,000 or $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on a campaign, I'm essentially, I could buy my way in, or I can earn my seat through the 30 years of hard work that I have put into the city, through the dedication that I have shown, through door knocking and through, connections with people. Or I can put up billboards. That should be enough. It wasn't at all. It didn't even come close. But that is how I feel politics should be. You should prove to the people why you were there, not just show up with a a lot of supporters with big checkbooks, and suddenly you are the winner.
Because what you're saying, what I'm hearing is, we don't want the capitalist tendencies into our politics, because then we would just have the people who can afford it be the political leaders.
Correct. It's not an equal playing field in that sense at all.
I got you. That makes sense to me. Okay, what was your experience like generally in this election? Like, could you paint a picture from start to finish? What was it like for you?
Well, I have two versions, like two sort of examples, because 2021 was very different from 2025. I had a lot more. In 2025, I had a lot more experience behind me. I had a lot more knowledge. The problem, of course, is the more you know, and that can haunt you a little bit at night. So, but I had a lot of support from the media this time. So I had reporters reaching out. They knew my name from the 2021 election. They knew me from being a community volunteer. So I was often written about favorably in articles that were making it to, media, print media. And so I would say this time was, and I just knew what to expect. I knew the negativity that was going to come my way. I was prepared for that. That took me by surprise in 2021. And I was able to sort of shield myself from it a lot better this go around. But I would say it was a positive experience, except that I knew that money was going to buy the winner the role. Yeah.
So if I have $100,000 to play with, I could enter the next race in 2031, and I'd have a fair chance of winning, or a huge chance, because it's not fair anymore. But I can throw around that kind of money, I would have a good chance of winning.
Yeah, it'll be 2029, and if you came with if you come with $100,000, you would have a very good chance of winning. Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Edmonton likes to, they like someone who has built a bit of a brand. So if you put up billboards and you put your face on the side of a bus, they will recognize you, and they like to support people who can splash their face all over the place.
I see.
Yes.
I kind of have, I'm drawing a connection because I spoke with Giselle General a week before, and she kind of painted a near similar scenario where, people want to, but she didn't put it the way you did. She said people want to vote for someone who has a resume. So that could encompass a lot of things, because if I see someone's face on a bus, I would assume that they have this, and then I wouldn't know that they just started this last week.
Correct.
Or something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you think that the voting process was fair? Was the elections, in terms of how people came out and how they voted, and the voting process and the counting and all of that, did you consider it fair to you from your perspective?
Well, see, this is an interesting question, because I'm still working through it myself. I know that PACE on election day and for the pre-election, the pre-voting, they were asking all of the candidates to make sure we had scrutineers and that we were at the polling stations and driving to each of the stations to make sure that things were happening legitimately. I was torn on this, because I thought, well, I want to trust that the process is legitimate, because if I'm going there to look for cheating, we have a much bigger problem.
Right.
So
agreed.
I was really uncomfortable with that request, but I know that there were PACE candidates who did go, and there were stories being relayed back about things that were not being done properly, which was upsetting. But it's a beast you can't bring it down. So, but you now have that information that you can do nothing with. And then the count. Edmonton was the only municipality that wasn't able to get the results in for 3 days. So they can blame the province if they want, but all the other municipalities across Alberta were able to get it done. So there was a problem with Elections Edmonton, and I don't know, I didn't dive deep enough into what that problem was, but I think someone should. Someone should definitely be looking into that. Yeah, I mean, I think there are some serious questions there that somebody should be investigating, probably the provincial government and our municipal affairs leader there. But I try not to focus on it too much because I wasn't going to win. I didn't lose, 3,000 votes somewhere and I was supposed to be the winner. I'm not saying that, but there was definitely a problem with how it rolled out this time.
Okay, so this is the essence of this series, because if I was sitting here with the person who won, this you just put down now will never come to light. So if you don't mind, and you can decline, is it possible to tell the listeners some of these things that were being relayed back that were not being done properly? You're not suggesting that there was fraud, but we know that wherever humans gather, there will be flawed things that happen. So this is not us sitting here and saying that someone corrupted the process. She's just relaying observations that she made without judgment. So if you don't mind.
So in terms of the counting, there were boxes that went missing, which we know happened in Mississippi Winning Rock, with 2 Palmer ending up with 600 votes suddenly being found. A lot of the individuals who were hired by Elections Edmonton were actually telling candidates, we were given very little training, we don't actually know what we're doing. And there was some concerns with, even the employees were saying, we don't actually know what we're doing here. So that's definitely one of them as well. And there weren't enough people at the polling stations. So they had 3 tables, and everything was being done. You had to fill out a form when you first walked in, and then you had to wait in a lineup to give that form to someone else, and then you had to go to another table, and then you had to go and vote. And the process was taking about an hour to an hour and a half to run through to vote. So people didn't have time. I mean, normally in every other election I have ever voted in since I was 18 years old, it's taken me about 10 to 15 minutes to vote. You're in and out in no time. And I stood in line for an hour with my son, who voted for the first time, and I kept telling him, this isn't the process, this isn't how it normally works. So I think they didn't have enough employees working there. I also heard that they would call to Edmonton Elections, who had a group of people standing by who were on emergency workers, and they were asking for extra help, extra laptops, and they were being told no, that they didn't have the resources, and yet they had an entire room of people who were waiting to go. So I don't know the reasons for why that was happening. The strike, the Edmonton Public Schools strike, didn't help either. So there were a lot of things that sort of went wrong, all at the wrong or the right time, depending on how you view it.
Wow.
Yes.
So I know it's I don't want to say that I'm disappointed, but I came to Edmonton in 2016, so clearly you would have a lot more. And have I voted? I think I only voted this time, and never before. So if in the past you were spending 15 minutes and there were less people in Edmonton at the time, and now that there are more people, and is it a linear progression that the more people we have in Edmonton, the longer it takes to vote? I think that, and this is my personal opinion, that the process should not be that long, because could that be a reason people may not want to go and vote?
I know for sure people didn't vote. I had friends who said, I can't wait, I have to go to work, or I have to go here, I'm expected here in 20 minutes, I got to get out of line. My mom was almost unable to vote because she had a medical appointment. So she thought she would go in and vote before her medical appointment, and usually it takes her 10-15 minutes. And she was in line and she thought, I've got to go, but I won't be able to vote because I can't come back later. And she actually spoke to an employee who pulled her out of the line and bumped her to the front, which was nice. But I mean, that's one exception, right? I'm sure there's thousands of stories like that. So.
Okay, what would you pin it to? I noticed that, and this might be across the board now, in the provincial election, in the federal election, and now in the municipal election, there seems to be a wave of voter apathy. that people are not. I sit in my house, this has to happen, I want this to happen. Election day, I'm watching Arsenal on TV. Go and vote. Well, I find all kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
What could, in your experience, be the reason for this? Well, people are saying what problems they have, but then going to correct it is an issue.
Yeah. Again, I'm still trying to work through that myself, because at every door I knocked on, I heard people want to change. They said that every single door, and I knocked on thousands of doors in Nakota, Isga, spoke to thousands of people, and they all said the same thing. Now, in Nakota, Isga, we did vote for change, and we did vote for a more, let's call it, conservative candidate. So there was change in my area, but when I look at the city overall, we voted back in all of the incumbents that we were complaining about. But I did hear from some people that I spoke to a lot of, like you said, voter apathy. Just, I can't change it. There's no, that I make no difference. I can make no difference here. So why am I going to vote? Now, again, when we look at the overall results in Edmonton, they were right. We voted back in most of the incumbents that we were unhappy with, that we spent 4 years complaining about. So I think the machine is big and it's hard to change, and there's a lot of I'm trying to think of the right words to say. There are a lot of people who work for the City of Edmonton, organizations, unions, who have a vested interest in keeping the city the way it is. And it's a very difficult machine to push back against.
Wow.
So,
okay, you say a lot of vested interest want to keep the city the way it is. Tell us, in your opinion, what do you mean by the way the city is? How is the city?
I'll use the word corrupt, and it's not corrupt in that, we're the cartel. Right. We're not corrupt in that way. We're corrupt in that there's a lot of people who want to keep the same people in power. There's a vested interest. Money is flowing through to organizations that benefit from this, and the unions have decisions that are made that are favorable towards them. For example, we will sell a building to an organization for $1, and then we'll turn around 3 years later and we'll buy it back for $800,000. Like, we are so irresponsible with our money. We don't make the right decisions, but it benefits a lot of organizations and a lot of individuals. So, and the deeper you get into it,
the more confusing it becomes.
Well, the more you learn, and the more you discover just how corrupt, again, I use the word corruption in that people in power want to hold on to power and will do anything to do that. Doesn't mean they're killing people. Doesn't mean they're running drugs through a pipeline, but we are trying to hold on to power by doing things that are illegal. And the deeper you get into it, the more you learn, and it can be quite haunting, actually.
I'm surprised, and then something keeps coming up in your response. The unions. How much power politically do unions have, especially with municipal elections?
Yeah.
Did you feel the strength of this power in your run?
So again, working families is something I only learned about in this recent election. There are a very powerful group of unions and organizations who are in support of progressive or left candidates. And so they have a lot of money. They do not operate as a party because they don't want to acknowledge themselves as a party, but they operate as a shadow party. So last number I heard, they were close to $700,000 or $800,000 in fundraising, in money, and they send emails to their employees and say, this is who you will vote for in your neighborhood, in your area. These are the people we expect you to support, which is how all of the incumbents, well, minus Jennifer Rice, got back in.
Wow.
Yeah, they have a lot of power, and they do not operate, and they do not operate as a party, which is not proper, but again, who's calling them out on it, who's doing anything about it. And then when you have a number of other individuals who are running who are not left or progressive, they're not being supported by that group of people, the working families. And then they split the vote because there's too many on this side of those types of candidates. So
mathematics.
Yeah.
So I know that unions are useful in that they protect the rights of workers, where they make sure that workers have, all the things that they should be getting from employees.
Yeah.
How did this become a political movement? Is it that unions have now achieved all the things that they are supposed to achieve, and that they don't have any more worker, employer, employee problems, that they are dabbling into politics? What influences that move?
Yeah, I mean, you're right in that there was a purpose for unions, and there still is a purpose for unions, but getting involved politically is not their purpose. They're sticking their nose where it doesn't belong. There's a lot of benefits to having control of the municipal government, and in particular the City of Edmonton employees, who one of the things that I was running on when I was running in this campaign was, we need to reduce the number of employees that we have at the city. A lot of them are not doing anything. They collect a paycheck. They work from home. I heard from numerous people who have friends who have city employee, they work for the City of Edmonton, but they have another full-time job somewhere else. Oh. So they collect a paycheck from the City of Edmonton. There's a number of people on Twitter who just tweet all day. They just, they work for the city. They say they work for the city. It says in their bio. You can go to their LinkedIn account, but you can go to their account and all they do is tweet all day long about their dog or what they had for.
How do you have time?
Well, this is it. They're not doing their job. There are former City of Edmonton employees who ran in this election who can tell you stories about they had employees who, one woman threw herself down the stairs in the organization so that she could collect disability. The union would come to you if you said, I want to lay this woman off or this man off, the union would come to you and say, how far do you want to take this? Because we're going all the way to the end. And they would make it so impossible for you to be able to get rid of an employee who isn't doing their job and who is taking advantage of the rules that are in place to protect them. So there's a big interest for the unions to have certain people in position, because if the right people get into power, that stuff comes to an end, as it should.
This is why you ran, or let me just ask the question.
Yeah.
What inspired you to run in the ward that you did?
Yeah. I don't like injustice. I am afraid of where the direction I see the city going. And I love our city. I mean, I'm born and raised here, but we've lost our way. So I ran to right the ship and put us back on the direction of being successful. And I think most of the people who live in Edmonton just want to have a good life. They want to pay reasonable property taxes.
I'm raising my hand to that. I'm raising that both hands.
Yes. They want to pay reasonable property taxes. They want to live in a home where they don't have to worry about, is their garage being broken into, or are they going out to the street to find that their windows have been smashed or their tires have been slashed on their car. You want to be able to put your child on a bus and not worry about whether or not they will be harmed, or the LRT. And you want to be able to walk anywhere in the city and feel safe. You want snow plowed on the street so that your drive is not a nightmare. You don't want to go from what used to be a 10-minute commute is now a 40-minute commute. We just want to see the city run in a basic way. And what I find with the politicians from 2021 to 2024, and we still will see where it's going from 2025 to 2029, but we are dabbling a lot more in international politics or things that don't necessarily
concern
don't concern the city. Are they important? Sure. But are they our business? No.
An example is, I think it was, I saw something flash across my phone, and I don't have an opinion on this, I'm just putting it out there, that November 29th is now something for the Palestinians, something like that. That's what you're referring to.
Correct.
Because I don't know how that factors into how well the city is run, but
correct.
Let it be what it is, because
And then you end up alienating a bunch of people when you support
one section.
Exactly. And I find that, I used to, I don't like left versus right titles, but I used to sit on the left if you had to label me, and now I'm being told I sit more on the right. But I do view, I think the old liberal is now the new conservative. But I find that the reason I left the left, the liberals, is because you had to, in order to rise up another person or belief or fight, you have to bring others down. Like, you've got to collapse one group in order to rise another group up, and I can't support that.
We call it the PhDs. Pulling down syndrome.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I couldn't support that anymore. There's room for everybody to be successful. And I just found that I was having a lot of conversations with friends and family that were, well, if you support them, then that means you don't support me. That's not the case at all.
No, it shouldn't always be us versus them.
Correct.
It should always be the collective good. But let's not get into ideological politics, because if you set me off on that path, I will lose my focus.
Me too.
I wouldn't finish this in 3 hours.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. So, what was your door knocking experience like? Did you do it alone? Was it safe for you as a woman? I hope you identify as a woman.
Yes.
Forgive me, because these days you have to. So, was it safe for you? Were people receptive? Did people welcome you? Did they listen? What kind of people did you talk to, and what were their opinions and things like that?
Yeah, I never door knocked alone. It's not safe as a woman. Actually, I listened to some of your podcast with Giselle as I was driving over here, and I know she and I in 2021 we actually door knocked together. We went out together once just because she needed to do an area and I was in the exact same area, so we coordinated and went out together. But this time I went with my boys a lot. They're 16 and 18, so they supported me. My fiance was with me all the time. My mom came out a lot.
Shout out to them.
Yes,
hey boys, shout out to you, fiance. Shout out to you, mom. Shout out to you. She's acknowledging.
Yeah, that's right. The conversations were all the same. Everybody said the same thing. They were unhappy, very unhappy. Property taxes were getting too high for seniors who live in their homes but aren't quite ready to sell their homes yet and move into a different type of living situation. But they can't keep taking on these increases. Worried about crime. I mean, there were some neighborhoods I would walk through and the signs of like security, we've got security cameras or security dogs, or like just, it was the way their homes were decorated. I use decorated in it didn't feel like Edmonton to me. The bars on the windows, having grown up here, the bars on the windows and
bars on the window. Oh wow.
Yeah. Or the shutters that come all the way down, that are security shutters, right? It was like being in a completely different country. I didn't recognize it.
That's how we in Nigeria. I wouldn't have windows without bars on them. Because this would just get broken into, and we take for granted simple things like that. And I know that a lot of the crime is poverty related, because there's a lot of people who are hurting. They want food, they want shelter, they want warmth, and where else will they get it if not break into people's homes and things like that? But I spoke with Giselle, and she did mention that it wasn't safe for a woman to door knock alone. So I don't know what we can do to fix that, but it is what it is. Life happens, and then
that's right.
Presently speaking on property taxes, what's your opinion on that? I read a few things that you wrote, but I'm going to I want you to highlight, and I know you said Andrew Knack is your friend. A lot of people may not be happy with him right now because
he was my friend. We are now no longer, I mean, we're still connected. I still wish him well. I hope he's successful, but we have different ideologies now. He has been, and he knows this, I have explained this to him myself, I think he's been captured by a sort of, for the lack of better term, the woke ideology, and he's gone down the path that I was worried about in 2021. So
because I read in the news that there could be a 6.4% increase in property taxes, and I looked into Andrew Knack is his name, and the other guy, I don't remember his name. the other major
Tim
guy.
Cartmel.
Yeah, and both of them, if I remember correctly, ran on the promise of not increasing property taxes, and 2 months in, 1 month in.
So the property taxes for 2026 are already, they were set in the original budget. Yeah, by the last administration. So there's nothing really that can be done. That's just sort of written in stone. Tim ran on not increasing property taxes, either freezing or hopefully decreasing. Andrew ran on increasing. Andrew was quite clear that he was going to continue to increase property taxes.
Oh, wow.
But the reason is because Andrew spends money. And this group of people who are now voted back in, minus minus 2 or 3 people who are new, they are spenders. They've just announced another leg of an LRT. Where are we getting the money for that?
Right, taxes.
Yeah, be prepared for 6 to 8% increases every single year.
2020, wow.
Yeah, up until 2029, when hopefully at that point we have then finally had enough. Like Calgary has already had enough. They've repealed their infill. They're repealing their bag bylaw, and we just keep piling on more onto the average citizen, right?
Right, and there's one thing I've seen a lot of municipal politicians blame Danielle Smith and the province for this and that and this and that, but from a I don't know, personal responsibility perspective, in the sense of a municipal authority using its available resources to fix the problems that it has without necessarily pointing fingers at the provincial government, what can the Edmonton Municipal Council do? In your opinion, what do we need to do to right this city and put it on the right path? Yeah,
well, we can stop buying buildings back for $800,000. That would be a great first step.
Oh, wow.
We can stop spending money irresponsibly. We have to make some really difficult decisions. I know a lot of people do blame the provincial government. They talked, when they weren't paying their $80,000 property tax bill to the city of Edmonton, or whatever it was that was due. I know Amarjeet, so he spent a year, certainly months, talking about it. But we've got a almost $4 billion a year budget. $80 million is nothing to a $4 billion. That was not going to change the game.
Yeah, yep.
So the fact that
the deficits that we run.
Correct. Yeah. And we've got a $5 billion deficit. We pay $400 million a year in interest payments. That's not doing us any favors. So our deficit, our interest payments, blow that $80 million that was owed by the province out of the water. And yet we continue to spend money like we have no problem. But at some point we will reach a debt threshold where the municipal government will be forced
stop borrowing.
Yeah, because the provincial government will step in, and then they will have more reason to hate Danielle Smith, because now they can say, well, look, she got involved. Mom's coming at some point. Mom is getting involved at some point because the kids are spending frivolously. We are being very irresponsible with our money.
Yeah, it's at what point do people sit down and say, because I didn't get it either, when there's complaints everywhere on social media about the state of the city, and then we go and vote in the same people, except I think Jennifer Rice and one other person. And how do we expect things to change if we simply changed the mayor who was part of the past administration? How does that work? Does it mean that this 4 years will be different because just in numbers it's 2025 to 2029 and things will be different even if it's the same people? And you see this play out in the federal level where we have a new prime minister but with the same group of people who Justin Trudeau did what he did with. How do people come to a place where they are like, okay, we're ready for change, and that gives people like you an opportunity to get in there and say, okay, we can clean house. I don't have any any vested interest. I don't have anybody, quote unquote, controlling my decisions. I'm here because I was voted in to make that change. How do people like you get a chance if the populace won't accept change? This
is going to sound so awful to say. They have to hurt more. Because right now,
it's their choice.
It is their choice. And, people will often throw out that trite, well, you voted for this, you get what you voted for, right? Unfortunately, they have to hurt, because in order for change to come. Because right now, you're right, are they watching the Arsenal game and saying, I can't be bothered to get off the couch and vote, nothing's going to happen anyway, and enough of those people don't go and vote, even though we know, the winners are now trying to say, well, you guys are just the loud minority. And, everybody in Edmonton is happy. See, the results of the election show that they are happy. But, Andrew got voted. I think his vote was, in the end, I think it's 11% of the city voted for him. And so, is 11%? Yeah, is 11% really a show of the majority are supportive of you? No, it shows to me that most people just couldn't be bothered to go out and vote, because they're not hurting enough. They were complaining, and they'll complain for the next 4 years, and maybe if we do enough damage over the next 4 years, or if this council does enough damage, maybe in 2029 we'll be ready. But it's tough. I've ran 2 cycles in a row now. Do I have it in me for a third run? I don't know. And, unfortunately, it's a cushy job. It's very attractive to the wrong kind of people. I run because I genuinely want to make a difference in our city. But I know there are people who are running because they see a pension, they see a strong salary for 4 years, and the potential for it to be 8 or 12, because once you're an incumbent, you
have a big chance.
It's hard to vote somebody out.
How much does a city councillor make?
I believe the salary's around $125,000. But there's a car allowance, there's health spending accounts, the benefits are enormous. Yeah.
Okay. Let's come back to you and your work. What were the things that you wanted to change?
Yeah.
Diana Steele is the councillor. In 2029, what would you have loved to look back on and say, I did that, I did that, I did that?
Mm-hmm. First of all, repealing the infill bylaw.
I hear infills a lot, and I think I know what it means, but could you explain that so that our listeners would?
Yeah. So if your next door neighbor puts their house up for sale, a builder could come and buy that, knock it down to the ground, and build an 8-unit property right next to you that is 3 stories high, towers, takes away all the sun in your backyard, and goes right to the back alley, because even though they say it can only cover 45% of the land, I'm not sure who's doing the calculations. It's clearly covering 85 to 90% of the land. There would be garage suites, and you would have 8 units with, let's say, 2 people per unit, although there could be more. It means 16 people now move in next door to you.
Where will they park?
We don't know. In front of your house.
Wow.
But according to the current government, they're all going to be taking transit, so you don't have to worry about it. But we know they're not taking transit. We know they're driving. There's 3 garages in the back, typically, single garages, so there's room for 3 people. But where are the other people parking? Where are the other 13 people parking their cars?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so
that's one thing.
And that's just one.
Mm-hmm.
Then next door could happen in the same place, because I don't know if you've seen the photo of the Crestwood home that has made the news. So there's a 2-story home surrounded by 2 enormous structures. 8 units on this one, 8 units on this one. And actually what is happening, sorry, I'm forgetting an enormous part of the story. They lot split because the lots are big in certain areas, and so they can build 1 8-unit, and then right next door they've got 8. So they've got 16 units. So now you've got the potential of a minimum of 32 people, possibly. You've now got 16 black garbage bins, 16 green garbage bins, all in the back alley. And
that must be a sight.
And in Crestwood, it's happening to one house. It happened on both sides of this home.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you want to point out, assuming you won in 2029, and say, I stopped it. I stopped that. What's the other thing?
It's destroying the value of people's homes, like that Crestwood home in the middle there. I mean, good luck to selling that house ever.
I don't want to live there.
Yeah. And then property taxes. We can't afford to continue raising them. Someone needs to go in. I wanted to do zero-based budgeting. So you take the budget down to zero, and then you justify every single expense that you put back in. So a lot of these organizations that are getting money from the city of Edmonton, they would need to be scrutinized and determine whether or not they actually qualify for funding through the city anymore. And that's a big one. And crime. You know, I do not feel safe in this city. I don't want my kids to take public transit.
And that's someone who grew up, who was born and raised in this city. So she's seen when it was safe. So she knows and, you know, can understand if it's feeling unsafe. Let's not take my perspective. I've been here less than a decade. But this is somebody who's been here for decades. So when she says she feels unsafe, we might as well, you know, take that with some degree of seriousness.
Yeah, I won't let my kids take public transit, and so that means sometimes I'm, you know, driving from one part of the city to the other to get my son after school, because I will not let him. I'd rather he walk home than take a bus. So but I'm fortunate in that I have a job that is flexible, and I have the ability to. We were able to buy my 18-year-old a car, but not everybody is in that position, and I don't want to be able to say, well, I'm fine and my kids are fine, so then I don't care about anybody else. The guilt I feel about that, so I want to make sure it's safe. I would want to have made sure it was safe for everybody.
Nice. I'm at a loss for questions to ask, because I don't want this to be controversial. I mean, I'm never at a loss for questions. Don't mind me. I'm never at a loss for questions to ask. I'm just going through motions in my head to make sure that I don't, you know, push you to say controversial things. Would you like to run again?
I don't know. I told my family and my kids and my fiance that I would never do it again. But I said that in 2021 as well. And then, of course, I saw what was happening. Actually, what finally, the straw that broke the camel's back for me was my children had a home where they lived with their dad, and the front of their street was closed. And then they were able to get into their garage, so they could park in the back and get into their home that way. But then the city sent out a notice and said that they needed to close the back alley as well for a number of weeks. And so for, I think it was 3 weeks, they didn't have access to the front or the back of their home. And I remember thinking at the time, this was not necessary work. There wasn't like a sewer breakage. It was, I think, TELUS needed access to that area. And I remember thinking, there's just no coordination at the city. Nobody talks to anybody. And now this family, all of these families in this row, don't have access to the front or the back of their home for weeks. So forget if you had a party planned, a birthday party, and people were coming over, where were they going? And just the inconvenience that this was going to cause. And I thought it could have been coordinated so much better. So it was at that moment where I thought, I mean, there were obviously a bunch of other things leading up, but I just went, oh no, I have to run again, don't I? and I did. But, you know, I suspect something will happen between now and 2029 that's going to irritate me. I think it's going to be the inability to focus on municipal issues and the fact that we keep wading into provincial and federal issues. I think that's what's going to irritate me the most. But I'm actually considering a move out of Edmonton, which would then prevent me from being able to run. Right. And that might be my only way out for my own personality, right? Like, because I can't sit by and watch the city deteriorate. It's too tough on me. But if I move away from Edmonton, I can't run anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I noticed in your line of very, you know, rich experience, you taught business at Northwest College. Mm-hmm. How would that experience, a lot of people who teach business don't run it. Right. Most of them just, you know, they are comfortable staying in classrooms and you know, dishing out these theories. Yes. But you are one person who said, okay, I can dish out the theories, but I also need the chance to get in and put these theories in practice. How much would this city benefit from people who have your kind of experience, especially with finance in the city council?
Well, I think it would be a significant benefit to the city. Not only did I teach business courses, but I also had 3 of my own small businesses in my lifetime. I'm also a real estate agent, so I run my own business as a sole. Well, I've now recently joined a team, but I was an independent agent. So you do your own marketing and you do your own budgeting, all of that stuff on your own. But in addition to that, I've got a significant amount of education, an education degree and a master's degree in leadership, plus healthcare experience with Pilgrim's Hospice, plus policy work with the government of Alberta, plus immigration experience with the federal government through the Immigration and Refugee Board. I mean, I've sort of touched on almost everything.
Right.
So I feel like I'm a well-rounded enough individual that I could sit on council and be able to look at everything through one of the lenses that I have, which happen to be many of them. So.
Oh, I don't want to forget this question. What is the place of endorsements in city council elections? I'm going through my phone. I see that this union has endorsed this person. What does that mean? How does that process go?
Yeah.
Is it fair? Is it something the public can look at and say, okay, yeah, that union has endorsed this candidate. That's it for me.
This one's a tricky one because I don't support endorsements, although I did ask for an endorsement this go around. But it significantly sways people. It does work. But again, it takes away the equality in an election, right? Now, some people would say, but if you have the ability and you run in those circles and you can use those people, why wouldn't you? But, somebody like me who doesn't have the media, so to speak, in working with me, because I know there was some in my area. There was a media personality who did end up endorsing Reid, and they were all sports connected people. So then you just know right away. Well, anybody who's in that sphere, I can't capture them. They're not going to vote for me because this individual just told them who to vote for. It changes the game a lot, and I think Reid is qualified. I think Reid and I were the exact same candidate, so to speak. We felt the same way about every policy. I just have a little bit of a bigger bite, I think, than he does. I would be a lot more vocal about I wanted to pull back the curtain and expose the corruption and end a lot of the practices that I think are destroying our city, whereas I don't know that he's going to go after any of that. I think he's just going to run the city.
The way it's...
Yeah. But I mean, I touched on this earlier about union endorsements. They actually email their employees and tell them who to vote for, what their expectations are. They don't even focus on any of the other candidates. They just say, this is the person you will support in this area. So, and that's coming from your employer. That can be very intimidating. I have enough of experience and education to say, I don't care who you tell me to vote for. You're not following me into the ballot box. I can do anything I want. But it's easily intimidating to someone who maybe doesn't understand how it works.
And this is exactly what the unions would frown at if the employer did that to the employee.
Correct.
The union would step in and say, no, we can't do this. But there's the same union. We're not mentioning any union, so I hope no union is guilty. It's just an example. Don't sue me. I don't have money to fight it. If you sue me, I'll close my podcast and disappear. But but if we find unions doing the things that they would fight against, then, because I spoke with Giselle and she kind of alluded to these organizations not reaching out to everyone who is contesting to say, okay, we want to hear your policies, we want to listen to you, and then they come out and say, okay, after listening to all the candidates, this is the one that we feel represents our interest the most. Did that happen with you?
No. What it was they were looking for, if you said certain buzzwords, you were on a list of like negative candidates. If you used the word fiscal responsibility, you were considered a conservative. If you used the words common sense, you were considered a conservative. So as soon as you say those words, you immediately got typecast into, well, we're not supporting them. So they went for anybody who, went to protests. If you were showing up at protests, you were on their list. You were in their good books. If you were in support of the bag bylaws, if you were in support of raising taxes, those were the things they were looking for.
Wow.
The progressive candidates that they can easily manipulate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wish we had the time to dive into some of these things because they interest me a lot. Perhaps we could do this at some time when I know you have a very busy schedule, and thank you for making the time to. And we had to reschedule. Thank you for agreeing to that. But yeah, you're dropping some bombs that we can explore, but I wouldn't want you to say things that people can look at tomorrow and say, she said that, hold her to it. This is Diana just telling her experience, and as we say in Canada today, everybody's lived experience is valid. So if you don't like what she said, that's okay. I'm not doing this for everyone to like it. I'm doing it to bring perspectives of people who ran in the Edmonton City Council elections, and I'm happy that the two people I've spoken to have been bold enough. If you listen to the first episode and you listen to this, you're going to start to see a narrative form. The city needs to wake up. I don't know that it's sleeping, but it needs to wake up to certain responsibilities. And as we wrap this up, in a nutshell, looking at all the things that you've seen, what is your perspective of the Edmonton City Council elections?
In a nutshell, we do need the city of Edmonton to wake up. We are in trouble. We are fiscally in trouble, and we are socially in trouble if we do not. We're not tough enough on crime in the city, and what we are experiencing now is not anything near to what it could be in the future if we're not careful. So I do need the citizens of Edmonton to start paying more attention, to have those uncomfortable conversations, to get off the couch when Arsenal is playing and go vote. And I need them to pay attention to all of the candidates, not just the ones that the media puts forward, because there are some very strong candidates in those selections, who are overlooked because they are not, that maybe their brand isn't big enough. So just pay attention to everybody. Do your research.
Interesting. I was told by somebody that I don't promote myself enough, so I'm going to ask this question. What was your opinion when you looked through the Agege Bread podcast, or when we reached out to you to say, hey, can we do this? Can you just...
Yeah, I would agree. I didn't know who you were, and yet listening to the podcast with Giselle and listening to you and I speaking right now, you do need to promote yourself out a lot more. You're very good at what you do.
I need to take this serious. I'm this guy who, I blog, I do podcast. These things take my time.
Yes.
I have kids that I have
young
to
kids.
look after.
Yes.
And I ref.
Yeah.
I ref with the EDSA. I still play once in a while.
Wow. And a beautiful life you have to pay attention to.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, not forgetting that. And all of these things, I sometimes forget. I also am the chair of a board of condominium that has 178 units.
Wow.
I'm the treasurer of the Nigerian Canadian Association of Edmonton.
My goodness.
I'm trying to get into another board where I'll do public relations.
Yeah.
And I create content once in a while. So all of these things that I do in my head, that's why the person looked at me looked at my podcast, listened to all the things that I do, and he said, you need to promote yourself more, because I mean, I don't know very many people who do all of these things. I don't make a lot of money for it, it's just a passion. So
correct, yeah.
I will, my aim of doing this, like I told you, is to, these things that you've said now, we wouldn't ever have heard them. I don't think the CBC will chase you, or CTV, or Edmonton.
They don't want this stuff out there.
Exactly. I don't think any of them. And the people who want the status quo to remain. But we all have vested interest.
Correct.
We are the city. It is my income, it is my taxes that go into these buying back buildings. Could you highlight on that when you say they sell a building for $2 and they buy it back for $800,000? I'm sure a few listeners would want to hear more about that.
Yeah, well, what I can tell you is there's a gentleman by the name of Jesse Watson who ran for council. He didn't win, but he came in second. He is excellent at highlighting all of the ways that the city of Edmonton...
I met with Jesse Watson.
Okay.
I think he owns a coffee shop.
He does, yes. Boxcar.
Yes, he's one of the people lined up.
Yes.
Giselle said I should also talk to him.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to call him now.
But for your listeners, if they go to Facebook or Instagram, his name is Jesse, Jesse, Watson, Watson. Just search his name. He has so many videos on his pages where you can look at I mean, that's just one example. There's so many examples where the city is being irresponsible with their money in those kinds of ways. So instead of me trying to explain it to your listeners, go in and look up Jesse Watson and watch his videos. They're a couple of minutes long each. They're excellently, very well done.
Wow.
And they outline, I mean, he brings receipts. He's got all of the numbers. He's got it all. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, Diana Steele. Thank you for, I like that name.
Thank you.
Diana Steele. Okay. Wow. Let me allow that name to sink in.
Let's let it sink into all of the listeners as well.
If you're sitting in front of her like I am now, you'd be imagining Wonder Woman. What's Wonder Woman's name?
Diana Prince. Yes.
Then Diana Steele. Thank you for making time to speak with me on the Agege Bread podcast on this series of the ones who ran. I think I am onto something, so I'll continue to bug you from time to time.
Of course.
And whenever you have time, let's sit that my equipment is mobile, so I can meet you anywhere. You can always, you know where I am now. You can always come find me, and we'll do this. Thank you. Do you have any last words you want to say?
Just thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. As you said, no news agency is going to chase me for these stories. Nobody wants this out there. I'm happy to share it. I do share it from time to time on my Twitter, which can get me into trouble.
I'll find you on Twitter and follow you.
Yeah, but I am outspoken. I have no desire to keep these secrets. I want them out there, and I want the city of Edmonton to know what's happening. So.
And this is the kind of person we want in the city hall. One day, hopefully, don't move, we'll have her there. I hope that your constituents find this, listen to it, and they can start to, align with your vision. Thank you. This is me. My name is Emeka on the Agege Bread podcast. Until the next time that we do this, bye-bye.